Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Harvey Levin here.
Jason?
Fabian here.
So, full circle for me.
Yeah.
So, so many years later,
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson returns to Los Angeles.
It's insane, honestly. And not only is he returning to Los Angeles, but with open arms among the football crowd, apparently. It's crazy. He went to the opening game for the LA Rams against the Bills yesterday at SoFi Stadium, and people were embracing him. Hugs, photos, shouting out his name. It's
rock
nuts.
star.
It was
this
rock
thing.
star treatment for sure.
And so, look, this is just a sampling of what happened.
Oh, there's OJ! There's OJ! What do you think we're talking about, Mark? OJ! The greatest Buffalo fan. Our great Buffalo running back there. I felt your OJ! OJ!
So, I mean, look,
Bunch of dudes out there tailgating, raging.
So the Bills, he formerly was a Buffalo Bill, playing
Yes.
NFL for many
Yes,
years, Hall of
yes.
Fame career. The Bills do not come to LA very often.
No,
Once
that's
every
true.
decade or so do they play in LA. He took advantage of the opportunity to come in wearing Bills gear
at SoFi Stadium.
at SoFi Stadium in LA.
And so, look, I mean, I have not seen him in LA for years and years and years. Maybe, and usually if he comes here,
It's
know.
a spectacle. Yeah,
And so I don't think he's been here for at least a decade.
Yeah.
And it would shock me a little bit. Just look, I covered the trial. That was my life for 2.5 years. And both trials. But, you know, at the time, if you really got immersed in it, which America did,
Yeah.
he was found not guilty, and I get it. He is not a murderer because he was found not guilty. He is a killer because a civil jury ruled not only did he slaughter Nicole Brown Simpson, his ex-wife, and Ron Goldman, but he did it with malice.
Right.
So the jury there said that. So he is classified as a killer.
Right.
And I can tell you, having seen the autopsy photos, that he left her, Nicole, his ex-wife, the mother of his kids, almost decapitated at the doorstep of her condo.
We've seen the photos, the crime scene photos.
But my point is that if a passerby had not gotten suspicious because of the dog and gone up and seen it where the police then came, guess who would have found her almost decapitated body at the base of these stairs?
His children.
Yeah.
His children.
Yeah.
And so that all said, you know, he moves to Miami, and even back then, people were embracing him. You
Yeah.
know, I want to take a picture with him. He moves to Vegas, and the same thing happens. And I always wondered what would happen in L.A., and now we know.
Yeah. Although it's been 30 years, right? I mean, I'm just saying that he moved to Miami immediately after the acquittal, and that was startling for all of us. And then we've seen him in Vegas over the years. He's seems to be beloved, or at least accepted by a portion of the population in Vegas too. So there's a couple things. Number one, a lot of time has passed, but number two, the love of celebrity conquers the terror of a mass
Horrendous
killer.
crime. Yeah.
He was scorned when this happened. I mean, it was, you know, there were some people who felt, oh, he was framed and everything else, which is absurd, I think.
Yeah.
But he was largely scorned. And I remember, I mean, this is going to sound a little highfalutin, but places like the Palm, the fancy restaurant in LA that had has all the pictures of celebrities up and the drawings, they took it down.
Yeah.
But then they put it back up. It was weird.
But Harvey, the very same people at SoFi yesterday were like, OJ Juice, and incredible. They all think he's a killer. Right? The vast majority of people think he's a murderer. Forget about the jury.
So do you
acquittal.
think
The
they
vast
know
majority-
him? Do you think, that's so interesting.
They just don't care.
No, hold on.
Or maybe the football element is
well,
part
that's
of it
what I'm
too,
wondering.
because he's among his own
You think
football
it'd be
people,
different.
and maybe that
But they
supersedes.
seem too young to understand what he was in the Bills.
He wasn't. If you look at the video, he's not hanging out with young kids. He's hanging out with like older men, like men in their 40s and 50s at least. So they know exactly.
So
who he
you
is.
think it's a football thing more than it is?
And maybe it's a football thing.
I don't think so.
I don't know what it is.
I think he's treated that same. We've seen him treated that same way everywhere he goes.
That's true.
He's treated with acceptance everywhere he goes.
Oh, you were going to say kid gloves.
Yeah, I was.
No, I mean,
I don't think people care. I really don't.
I agree, Harvey. Like, to Jason's point, I think most people agree that he probably did, in fact, kill her. I think most people think that he did that.
He did kill her.
But the fact that he was found not guilty during the criminal trial, I don't know what it is about the Nicole Brown Simpson murder. It has been trivialized over time. Over time, it has gotten taken less and less seriously. We just did a story about Chris Rock making a joke about it. You know what I mean? And
he was also criticized for
that's what I'm saying. But how many stories have we done about Nicole's sister, Tanya, decrying something? Oh, my God, this is serious. This is serious. Even all these years later, I don't know what it is. With time, the murder, as heinous as it was,
I have a question
it's
for you.
taken less and less seriously. It's crazy.
I have a question for you. And I asked this seriously, actually. If Charles Manson were alive today, and Charles Manson was out and about in public,
right?
Would people want selfies with him?
100%.
I think so too.
100%.
I think so too.
It's like a society thing. I think people are, first of all, sick.
Think about that.
People are sick, but I think it's like there's a fascination with celebrity more now than ever before, especially with the advent of social media and selfies and things like that. Like, you can get more personal with celebrities than ever before. You know what I mean? So I think that plays into it.
There is
I
one
don't know
difference.
what it is.
I generally agree with the concept that we love celebrity more than we decry murderers. I accept that. But with OJ is also supremely charming and flashes those big smile.
He is.
Charles Manson has a swastika on his forehead, so I don't know if he would be as accepted.
I think he'd be more accepted.
Oh, good God!
And I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because it's almost carnival-like.
It is.
That to have that
It's the freak
selfie
show.
with. Yes.
People love that.
To
I'd
have that selfie with Charles Manson,
Yeah.
you would post it, you'd get
million
gazillions
reactions,
of likes.
good or bad, you take it all.
Exactly.
Right. And I think that's kind of the problem, that people want the attention, they want the novelty of something, and maybe that's what's going on with OJ too. It's the novelty of OJ. It's like, this guy killed somebody and yet you're happily posing with them. It's insane. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, we'll move on. Kris Jenner is on the Late Show with James Corden, along with Kylie.
Yeah.
So I found this super interesting. So they had a lie detector there, a polygraph.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know who this dude is that's doing the polygraph, whether he's a real polygrapher, I have no idea. But
it's interesting that you're so doubtful, because let's just assume that it was...
Well, I think they said his name's John.
Let's assume that it's a real polygrapher.
Okay.
It's a real test, and she did, in fact, was truthful on the answer. So let's go into it.
So everybody's wondered for years and years and years and years, did Kris Jenner have something to do with, or was she behind the release of Kim Kardashian's sex tape with Ray J? James Corden actually asked the question.
Yeah.
And the audience gasped, and here's what happened.
Are you ready for this next question?
I don't know.
I'm going to show it to Kylie just to see her reaction.
I'm sweating.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Oh, dear.
Here we go.
Okay.
Did you help Kim release her sex tape?
It's okay. No. No.
True. Of course it's true.
Thank you.
Of course it's true. All right. Kylie,
Here
we go.
That. We cleared that up.
Okay, so true means that you passed, that you
Right.
gave an honest answer.
Right.
So with all that said, just to kind of rewind for a second, back when this thing got released, it was released by Vivid Entertainment. Our sources at Vivid told us at the time there is no way they would release any tape without getting the consent of all parties on the tape for this reason.
Out of fear of being sued, obviously.
Sued for disgorgement of profits, invasion of privacy, infliction of emotional distress. They could be ruined by something like this. So they were really adamant at the time. Now, Kim sued.
Yes, exactly.
Kim sued.
So doesn't that fly in the face of what they're saying?
And then
the fact that she actually sued?
And then they settled.
And the tape stayed up.
Huh?
And the tape stayed up.
And the tape stayed up.
True. That's actually the most telling thing, to be honest.
So...
if I had to guess, and this is just an opinion, the lawsuit was manufactured. She agreed to it from the beginning.
It was all a facade.
It was all a facade.
Yeah.
Correct. I never would have put it. Vivid is too reputable of a porn company. It's a porn company. Too reputable of a company, and has too much to lose to put up a tape of one of the most famous people in the world.
She wasn't that famous at the time.
She was famous enough.
But
you're right. She was
enough.
She was not that famous. Right.
And I think that works against vivid if they release it without her. If it's somebody famous, they're out in public. She has a better invasion of privacy argument, a better
She's more of a
infliction
private
of emotion.
citizen,
Right.
yeah.
But either way, it's a really good lawsuit that she has. It's settled. The tape stayed up. So clearly, one way or the other, the tape stayed up, and therefore she consented to it at some level.
Right.
So, James Corden didn't ask, did you discuss it?
Right.
What?
Well, there's three possibilities here. Number one, she's telling the truth, and she had nothing to do with
Right.
it. Number two, she's being picayune about the distinction between he asked, "Did you help release the sex tape?" And she may not. She may have said, "Well, she may be thinking in her mind, I had other aspects, but I didn't help release it." Or number three, she is so calculating that
such a
she is
sociopath that she's
I don't
good at
think
lying?
she's a sociopath. I think she's brilliant in a way.
No, not
marketing
in a way. She
Yeah.
is brilliant.
And
Kris Jenner is the best
Yeah.
brand manager, businesswoman, business person
Yep.
that I can think of right now.
And nobody in the history of modern media has ever conflated the truth with fantasy, reality and fiction, as well as she has.
Yeah.
And so in her mind, she may be so adept at that, she's able to conflate truth with fiction and answer this question in a way that she thinks is totally true.
I think-
or she's telling the truth.
No,
Or she's telling the truth.
Listen, can we just be
That's
frank
option
though?
one.
You don't believe that. You don't believe she's telling the truth.
Look,
Just be honest. Do you believe she's telling the truth or not?
I
don't.
Okay, I'm being honest. I don't know.
Oh,
no,
man.
I'm with Harvey.
hold
I'm with
on.
Harvey. I don't know either.
No, hold on. Because Kim's way more important than Kris. Kim's
Yeah.
way more important than Kris. Kris can't do this on her own.
You don't think she was advising Kim through this whole process? That's what Ray
They
J
never-
claimed,
they
that she
never-
was the mastermind and advising
but
her.
Fabian,
so-
he never asked that question.
But it's implied in the question.
Wait,
help means
no.
help in any capacity.
what
When
she may
you
have
do
separate,
when you do a polygraph test, you have to ask the question precisely, because if you don't, somebody can give you an answer that may not align with the inference you're thinking about,
Right.
but they're still going to
So
show up as
what's
true.
the question? Were you aware of the sex tape when it was made? Were you aware of the sex
Before
tape before it was released?
Did you talk to Kim about it? Yeah, all those things.
Now, do you think that these questions, Kris asked surprised when James Corden asked the question of her. Do you think the question was pre-discussed?
I was thinking about
dude.
Of course it
just,
was.
just
It
like
had to be,
just
right?
with Kim's SNL appearance, all of it was pre-discussed and pre-planned and everything, as is everything with the Kardashians. Let's just
I
be
guess
honest.
option 4 is that even the results of the polygraph are not to be trusted because we don't. This could all have been.
I mean, to be honest, anybody can beat a poly. It's not difficult
Well,
to beat a
not even
poly.
beating a poly. What
You
if-
just got to beat. It's like George
What
Costanza
if
said. It's not a
John's
lie
like-
if you believe it. You know what I mean?
That's right. What if John's not a real polygrapher? I mean, look, it's a television show, and I
Right.
think James Corden's a funny, fantastic host. He's great, but it may have just have been a gimmick.
I don't
right?
know, but it was.
And to be honest, one last thing: most people believe that Kris Jenner had something to do with that tape, which is just the obvious. It's just so obvious. Like we don't have to give her the benefit of the doubt. With this one, we don't have to give any benefit here. It's
Anyway,
fine.
look,
right.
the bottom line here is she's the best business person
Sure, that much nobody can deny.
around. Okay, Queen Elizabeth.
Oh man.
So look, I mean, there's a lot around this now, and one of the things that I think is really interesting is this. Well, you know what? Before we get into Meghan, let's talk about something that really was near and dear to Queen Elizabeth, which was her dogs and her horses. That she had more than 100 horses. She had 4 dogs.
Yeah.
She loved these animals, especially the horses.
Yeah.
I thought she liked the dogs more, but she liked the horses more.
Yeah, there's a photo up on our site of her riding the horses as an old lady when her little get up and stuff. It's crazy.
Loved horses. And so the question, who gets these horses?
Well-
and so we found out, that just like us, they have wills.
Right.
And, the thing is that her late husband, Philip, had a will, but it's going to be kept under seal for 90 years.
That doesn't mean that the person who is the beneficiary of the will
Isn't
won't
getting
find
the
out
stuff,
soon,
right.
right?
No,
That's what I'm
they
saying.
find
They'll-
out immediately.
So that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So like even with the
Well, you
horses,
see a horse going down the street with somebody on, who got the horse.
That's what I'm saying. So like we might not officially know who gets them, Harvey, but honestly, just look at the photos and look at. I mean, we'll see who the dogs and the horses,
Wouldn't the best
whose
thing in the
possession they're
world
in. It's like
if we find out that she left the horses and all the dogs just to Meghan. Like, here you go, sweetheart.
You get him to Montecito.
that's the ultimate sign that she did not like her. That's the ultimate sign she did not like her,
Okay,
which I believe is true.
and
I don't think she liked Meghan.
Speaking of Meghan, so
man.
there's something really interesting about this that it looked like she and Harry were going to visit the Queen on her deathbed,
together.
and then it changed.
Yeah.
And there are reports she was disinvited.
Oh, she thinks she's disinvited.
Wait, disinvited or just not invited from the beginning? I mean, which is it? Like,
Well,
was
the
it?
report is disinvited.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because this all happened
Because
very
I
fast.
wrote the story and I read the report. It said that Meghan was not invited. So basically, who knows what that means? Was it that they called Harry and said, "Hey, you need to come"?
Well, but because she was going to go, and then she changed, and then all of a sudden it changed.
I see.
So we have to think about this, you know, and obviously in the waning hours, you know, at some point she loses the ability to make her own decision. So is the theory then that when she was fading, that there was a decision made to invite everybody together, and then once she had faded, the call was made. I think
there are numerous people that could have made this decision.
Yeah.
Certainly Charles.
Obviously.
Well, he would have been the one.
Yeah,
Right.
And there is a fracture, obviously, between Harry and Charles, and Meghan is right there.
Yeah.
And there are some people who are saying that Meghan was the catalyst for this. Now, I don't know, but it was kind of weird that they were going to go together because Kate was going to.
Is it weird? You think this is shocking at all? This is not shocking in the slightest. I mean, if this fracture is real, which it obviously is, as you're pointing out, this is actually par for the course. It's to be expected that Meghan would be invited. I want to make another point. I was telling Charles this. This is a theory of mine. I think not only does Charles not like Meghan, and maybe William, who knows? But like the Queen herself,
I was thinking of our Charles for a second.
I believe, I believe that like the Queen herself didn't like Meghan. I did a story on the site over the weekend, like 4 or 5 weeks ago. There was a British author who wrote a tell-all book. And you know, all these royal sources, who knows who's plugged in and who isn't? We don't have no idea, right? So this guy wrote a book. He wrote a tell-all book claiming that when Prince Philip died and the funeral was being arranged, that the Queen allegedly said within her own little circle of people that, quote, "Thank goodness Meghan isn't coming." That's a quote he put in his book, citing his own sources. But if that's true, and first of all, Harry showed up solo, so that's evident there.
Right.
So for all these trips that Harry's been making, except for the Jubilee, obviously, he's been making those trips solo. So it's possible that the Queen just doesn't like Meghan herself.
It's pretty clear that none of them like Meghan. I think Queen Elizabeth was more likely to include Harry in everything because she wanted to keep the family together.
Sure.
Whereas Charles doesn't seem as inclined to be courting Harry back into the royal fold.
Right, unless it's like a big deal like this, you know.
So
yes, and because you sort of have to at this point, right, to save face.
So look, one of the things now, I think that Meghan and Harry's title now, they've been elevated because of Queen Elizabeth's death. And now the question, you know, they've kind of renounced all of that. And now the question, what's going to happen with their kids, you know, when these kids who could be part of royalty get a little bit older?
Harry and Meghan's kids.
Harry and Meghan's kids. So we got this video that I think kind of plays this out.
Archie, a word please. I'd like to speak to you of something of the utmost importance.
What's up, Pops?
As you may or may not be aware, son, I come from a family of nobility in England.
Yeah, my cousins are rubbing it in my face all the time.
And when Queen Elizabeth died, you and your sister Lilibet technically inherited the titles of Prince and Princess.
Are you serious? Is that true?
Yes, it's true.
Why am I just hearing about this now?
And now that you're 18 years old and free to make your own decisions, well, I just wanted to let you know and see if you wanted to take on the title.
Are you kidding me? Why wouldn't I want to be a prince?
Well, the reason this might give you some pause, son, is because your mother and I both renounced our titles. And
so just because you guys didn't want to be royals, you thought I wouldn't want to either?
The life of a royal is difficult, son, and there are many, many burdens that come with it. Are you sure you want this?
Jesus, Dad, yes. Why would I pass on being pampered to and adored and waited on by butlers?
But you have butlers here in Montecito.
Not Buckingham Palace butlers. I want my own Jeeves, goddammit, not some dude named Larry Herb from Palmdale.
Okay, I'll tell your mother. She's not going to be pleased.
I can't believe you. What?
You can believe what?
Well, first of all, I sent that to Charles last night, just as a little jokey type of thing. I didn't know it was going to get out.
You don't say. That's a little jokey?
Yeah, I just sent it anyway. So
did you post it?
I did post it.
Oh,
by the way, it's getting hella traffic on TikTok right now. TikTok is, I want to say TikTok is the shit. I'm all in on TikTok. I'm all in. I'm posting content, whatever. But let me explain.
Well, first of all, no, before you explain anything, you really made him bald as an eagle.
Well, it's through a Snapchat filter. That's how I did it. Because Harry in 15 years is totally going to be bald.
So we have a podcast audience who can't see this for the most part. So we should say it's Fabian playing two roles. One is Harry. One is
as Archie at 18.
And I gotta say,
it's pretty good. It's actually pretty good.
Very good.
The premise is that because look, Meghan told Oprah,
there has been talks that Charles wants to change the rules about grandchildren, the direct grandchildren of a monarch receiving.
You don't need to justify this.
What I'm saying though is
what
I'm saying is if Charles never actually does that, as Meghan suggested he would, then it'll be a complete bust for Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, right?
As much as I want to clown you, it was great.
It was pretty good.
I'm out here making. I'm getting better at TikTok.
I
I'm getting
totally
much
want to
better.
clown you, but that was awesome.
Anyway, I don't know. We'll see.
So is the bald head real or is the hair real? I want to know.
The hair is it's a Snapchat filter.
Okay, guys, have a good weekend. We'll see you Monday.